like I said, I got indicted for growing marijuana again, so I made arrangements to go over to the Sheriff's Department to get the indictment served on me. And well, I got my daughter to tut me and everything, and on the way in, the sheriff was standing there, so I took a second, I'd walk by to let him know that he's going to reap what he sowed, that justice would be served. And I went on in and I sat down, and in a minute he came in and started talking to me, asking me what I'd meant and everything. I told him he'd see that, you know, he told me I couldn't talk that way to him in his house, that Sheriff's Department was his house. I told him it wasn't going to be his house for long. And he kind of got a little upset and told him to take me on upstairs and get me served and out of there. And they took me upstairs, and I guess he could have left me alone, but he didn't. He'd come upstairs because I guess he's curious about what I meant. He's going to reap what he sowed. So he stuck his head in and asked me what I meant, and I told him that I wasn't going to do anything, that somebody was, I thought, and that the time was coming, it's going to come pretty soon, I thought. But then he'd leave, and then in a minute he'd come back and we'd get in again. I asked him, I'd say, I heard you going to move. And he'd say, move. I said, yeah, to Raleigh. I hear you're going to go by the state penitentiary because he's going to court for some kind of child sexual molestation, 2 charges from years ago and everything. And I wouldn't have dared say this to him if I hadn't lost my respect for him lately. And time all this over, everybody say why, you know. But and he'd get mad and he'd leave, and then he'd come back, and I'd say things like, "We ain't going to court." And he'd say, "No, you're GD business." And I'd say, "I'd rather go to court for what I'm going for than what you're going for." So he finally brought me a letter, and it had the Polk County Sheriff Department head on it, and it was dated February 22nd, 2008, Steve Marlowe. It said, Steve Marlowe, if you trespass on, if you're trespassed from coming on to the Sheriff's Department or calling Sheriff's Department unless it's an emergency. And I immediately laughed and told him one of the piece of paper that he wrote it on.
We want to get to the truth of this. Steve's attorney went down to the district attorney's office to pick up some photographs that they gave as far as part of discovery. And they said that there was a statement from Lieutenant Carswell included in the discovery that basically said that me and Ricky Moore held him, pulled a .38 caliber weapon on him, held him at gunpoint, kidnapped him, took him to the Silver Creek campground, and threatened his life. Now, the attorney says there's no date on this statement, that Mr. Sheehan didn't sign it. He didn't even initial it like he did some of the others, but he didn't sign it. And that this was a statement
From Carswell.
just from the lieutenant. And what makes it so ridiculous is that now this lieutenant is trying to get us to believe that over a marijuana cultivation charge, they're going to ignore someone being kidnapped at gunpoint and threatened and having their life threatened. This doesn't make any sense. They says, I did this with Ricky Moore. Now, Ricky Moore lives in this county, and in this section of the county, he did. I wouldn't know the boy for sure if I saw him. I know that not too many years ago, he was in a bad car wreck, and that would probably help me be able to identify him. But other than that, I wouldn't know who he is, and I haven't seen him, and he hadn't lived around here in a while. This is just, more evidence of showing that these officers are interfering with our attorney's ability, or Steve's attorney's ability, to be able to investigate the case. They're threatening witnesses, and they're making up baseless nonsense.
That's why we think that for them to do this kind of puts them in a position where Grady could be at danger, because he's the one that can say what the truth is.
He says he's afraid of them.
And he's very afraid of it. Now, really, Grady, I have seen once since he called me. I ran to him at Wendy's, and I told him then that the lawyer would like to talk to him. And then he called Jean and talked about setting up an appointment to talk to the lawyer. He didn't. So I did. I called and left a message on his phone and told him if he wanted to talk to the lawyer and get this straightened out, we needed to do it. I think once Jean said he called, and I happened to be here when he called. She's on the phone, and he was saying that the Sheriff Department been all over him and everything lately, and they're trying to force him into whatever, and he set an appointment to see the lawyer the next day. I think that where we fell short is that in the very beginning, I think the lawyers have been more on the ball when we should have went to the DA. I think when I went to the DA to start with and told him that Grady had called and that they're trying to force him to admit perjury in his courtroom, the DA should have done something then. But he didn't. This is worse than a soap opera. This is so, let's just hope it gets straightened out.
Still, it'll get straightened out through the judicial system.
The truth will come out in the end.
The judge can look at it and go, well, this is nonsense.
Oh yeah, the facts of the whole case is off so far, but this ain't about the case. This is simply about Grady Sheehan and whether the Sheriff's Department is forcing him to lie or not. But most important, I believe that through this, we're going to get something done for people who need MS patients, the people who need it. The people who can't get out here and has no idea where to look for marijuana. People of my generation kind of came up, and a lot of people can get it anywhere, but there's so many people that has no idea where to get it, and a lot of these people are the ones that are suffering because of it. And I've met people out this year that are trying to get it for their children, mother trying to get it for their children, grown children that had MS and stuff, and to get good medicine for them so they don't have to do so much morphine and hard drugs. And if you ever seen the difference, you'd be calling your congressman and stuff. You wouldn't have to be saying, should I call? You'd call. Don't think of calling just because from your issue. Think about the people that's really, really is desperately in need for it. These are the people we should think about. And back to the letter. One more thing about the letter. I'm going to frame it. I'm glad the sheriff sent it to me. My first instinct this morning is to go back over there and ask him if he's moved to Raleigh yet. But everybody says I should wait and see what the lawyer says, and I shouldn't harass them. And I wouldn't be harassing them because I do have respect for the people in the sheriff's department that are honest. But some of them I now know is not honest, and I hate that for them and their families and everybody else. I ain't no perfect person, and I've done wrong in life, but in this issue, I'm in the right. And that's all.